Here's something worth paying attention to, and this reframes the
basically trying to block access in some people's eyes to Black history and stuff like that. You don't have any issues with things of that nature. You don't find yourself questioning anything about Trump that makes you say, now that's not necessary. You don't need to do that. Or, anything that'll make you say, I don't think he's looking out for the Black community nearly as much as he should. Nothing. Nothing at all. Of course,
I think that he's done more for the Black community than any president before him, especially in my lifetime. It's a regular question. It's an ongoing question. Before I even start to address Trump and how he permanently funded HBCUs, while he's working on birthright citizenship, that's literally that was for slaves. That shouldn't even exist at this point. How he created opportunity zones in his first election, in his first term in office, in order for us to invest in our own communities. We can go down the line on different things that he's done specifically for Black people. The better question is when you compare and contrast and you pay attention to somebody like a Barack Obama, but when you ask yourself the question, what specifically did he do for Black people, you come up with nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. So how can we hold Trump to a standard that we don't even hold?
But you just acknowledged earlier, in the United States of America. 24 million additional people on have healthcare insurance. You can put, some people will point to that. Some people will point to that.
The healthcare system as it stands today, the Department of Education as it stands today, it is all horrible. It is bad. And again, we diverting away from the question, what specifically did he do for Black people? Because we hold Trump to a standard that we don't even hold Obama to.
That's good.
Nobody can point to one thing. I can tell you what he did for the LGBTQ community, though.
Fair enough.
Boy. So you got to talk about this very fascinating conversation between Anton Daniels and Stephen A. Smith. Now, I found this conversation to be very interesting because Anton, I think, confronted Stephen A. on some things that I felt like I would confront Stephen A. on if I had an opportunity to do an interview like this with Stephen A. Okay, because Stephen A. claimed in this interview that he's not affected by the pro-blackity blacks, right? The pro-blackity blacks, like the Roland Martins of the world, get in his ear does not affect his politics or what he says on air, okay? And I have had some very, very, very strong disagreements with Stephen A. and the fact that he will take a position and then he will apologize or backtrack on a position because the pro-blacks get mad and get upset. But he claims that that is not how he operates, right? That he doesn't actually care about what they say.
You're making points about the Democratic Party. What would you say about the Republican Party? You're not about to sit up here and act like they're paragons of virtue, right? And that they're always honest and straightforward. We're not going to do that, are we?
No, I think that Bush II was the worst president in my life. I absolutely hated him because of the things that he did to the economy. That was the worst time of my life. I went broke. I think that Obama inherited a mess. I don't think that everything that Obama did was wrong. I actually think that Trump's policies more or less align with what Obama was doing in 2008, 2009, 2010, right? If you look at Nancy Pelosi's policies back in 96, right? If you look at what Joe Biden said that he stood for, if you look at what Obama represented, those are the same things that Trump represent. They want to make it seem like, well, him deporting illegal migrants is such a bad thing. Obama deported over 3 million people. In his terms, Trump didn't even deport 1 million people in his first term in office. So I don't think that what Trump is doing is so radical. I think that what he's doing is more closely aligned with what moderate Democrats was doing back in the 90s.
So with that being said, is it fair to say that you wouldn't be against the Democratic Party if it represented what those Democrats represented back in the day, that your real problem is with the progressive movement that appears to have taken over the Democratic Party, and that's what you completely disassociating yourself from?
No, absolutely not. I believe in less government. I believe that people that are here, they should be here legally. I don't believe in men and women's bathrooms. I believe in smaller, much, much smaller government. I don't believe in higher taxes. I don't believe that you are independent. I think that you are conservative. I think you're a Republican. And not just with your dollar. I think that you are a Republican, but I don't think that you are willing to admit it openly because of the backlash that comes along with the Black community and not supporting people that aligns with the Democratic Party.
Okay. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, because allow me to retort to that. I don't give a shit what people say. If I feel what I feel, I'm going to stand on it. My challenge is knowing what I'm talking about. You study politics more than I do, along with various others. And so because of that, there are times that I'm simply uncertain about a position. And because I'm uncertain about a position, I lean on the same old same. Immigration, the only reason I totally supported Trump closing the borders, because Biden opened them. If Biden had never opened them—
why not vote for him? Why not vote for him?
Because first of all, I've said this on many occasions. I would have voted for Nikki Haley. I would have voted definitely for Nikki Haley, possibly DeSantis. I didn't like his remarks about good points about slavery.
He danced around that question. He asked, why did you vote for him? Just going to put that in there.
So I probably turned against him because of that. I didn't appreciate that shit at all. But I would tell you, for the most part, him, and I would vote for Marco Rubio.
Yeah. So Stephen A. claims that he's a so-called independent, right? Now, again, I've called BS on this claim. I think that Stephen A. is a Democrat, right? He's a liberal who likes to pretend like he's one of these
But you know, he didn't answer the question. He asked, well, why didn't you vote for him? And he did the Jedi mind trick. When people don't want to answer a question, they do the Jedi mind trick. They start flying left, flying right, east, west, south, and north. It's crazy.
Moderates that can actually be swayed when it comes to voting for a Republican. However, he'll find whatever silly excuse that he can in order to justify not voting for a Republican, right? Like, for example, he said, well, I probably would have voted for Ron DeSantis, but I didn't like the slavery stuff. And it's like, really, Stephen A? Right? Really? Is that your excuse, okay, to potentially not support Ron DeSantis, to support somebody like Kamala Harris, right, over Trump, right, over DeSantis, over superior candidates? Yeah, Stephen A.'s type of guy, he talks a big game, but he'll find ways to make excuses to vote Democrats regardless of what he says, right, publicly. So with that being said, again, I think that Anton here did a good job of bringing up the fact that Stephen A. always walks back his comments. He's always apologizing when confronted by the pro-blackity blacks on his commentary, some of his opinions, despite the fact that Stephen A. claims he doesn't care about what they say. I think he certainly cares, for sure. And I think this conversation here, specifically about Jasmine Crockett, is a good example of Stephen A. Certainly caring about what the pro-blacks think, and this is why he can't get off the Democrat plantation, right? He can't get off of it, despite, again, pretending like he's independent, or I'm moderate, or I can swing both ways, I go both ways. I don't think so, right? He's one of these guys that'll find ways to vote Democrat regardless. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Okay. Anton Daniels right here, a straight shooter with yours truly, Stephen A. I want to get to the black community in this regard, because one of the things that, listen, like I said, I don't consider myself a black conservative. I consider myself a black man who is an independent that leans left on some things and leans right. That's me. That's how I think about myself.
You can't be that way, Stephen A. You cannot be that way.
I believe I can. I believe I can.
No.
We could answer. I will gladly come on your show. We can argue about that all day, every day, bro. I'm happy to. I can't. Oh, come on. Oh, please, man. All you got to do is
I
say what
can't
you say. The
wait
word.
because
You
you
say the
you,
word, I will come on your show. It's not a
you
problem.
do
It's not a
that.
problem at all.
You could do that in sports. You can't do that in popular culture and politics.
Because why?
People in the middle get ran over. You got to pick one
Says who?
side or the other.
45% of the U.S. population is independent right now. I would beg to differ on that. It's climbing.
They not.
If anything,
They not.
Listen, the independent vote,
Yeah, he made a good point right here. Those people aren't independent voters. Most Trump voters would just say that they're independent because they don't really feel like having a long, drawn-out conversation with people, especially if they're white. It's like, oh, once you say you're a Trump supporter, you're automatically racist. If you're black, it's even worse because then you done sold out. So a lot of people, when they don't want to explain why they voted for Trump, they just say they're independent. They're not really trying to have a 30-minute conversation about something that's clearly obvious. So yeah, it's not many idiots like me. I'm one of the few idiots that actually says, yeah, I support this. You know, but yeah,
I think it's going to swing the election one
I really don't give a shit.
way or the other. What do you say to
They're
that?
not.
Well, here's the thing. Again, I don't have an issue with people being independent or moderate, right? But let's be real. I don't understand how anybody that calls himself a moderate, like Stephen A., right? Like, how can you justify voting Democrat, right? There's nothing moderate about the Democrat Party. And that's why
Well, I gotta correct him here. George Bush was the worst president ever, and he was a Republican. So that's not all the way 100%. But fine, let's move forward.
don't think that Stephen A is a real independent, right? I think he talks a big game. I think that he can articulate how moderates feel, okay, and think, but I don't think that push come to shove, he would ever vote for a Republican. I just don't think so, right? I just don't think so. I think that he says it.
You shouldn't vote for Republican or Democrat. You should vote for somebody that has your best interest in heart. And a lot of these people are married to this shit, man. You got Listen, I don't give a shit if you're Republican or Democrat. If you are going to serve my interests or you offering me what I need, then I'm voting for you. I really don't give a shit.
But I don't think he actually would, right? Because again, they will find ways to smear any Republican as a racist. For example, if Rubio is the guy in 2028, they're going to say he's racist, right? They're going to say he's a racist Cuban. He hates blacks, right? That's going to be the narrative. And it will get some of these people who are more race conscious, like Stephen A. They'll be their excuse. Well, see, this is why I can't support him because, you know, hey, Republicans are racist, right? So, yes, I think that I agree with Stephen A. in principle in the sense that, yeah, I mean, you know, hey, people who are independent minded, moderate minded, you know, whatever, you know, hey, you know, they can go either way. And it's okay to be that way, right? But I don't think Stephen A. is actually that guy in regards to how he votes, to be honest with you.
I don't believe
You don't think that's gonna happen?
I don't believe that 45% of the population is independent. I think that they say that as a cop-out, but not wanting to actually say out loud exactly what they represent and who it is that they support, especially within the black community. It's not popular to say that you're a Republican. It's not popular to say that you're conservative. And so what people lean on is to say, well, I'm independent in order to give themselves an out for what it is that they choose and not to be accountable for who they support. That's what really is happening. See, I don't believe in what people say. I believe in what people do, right? And
There you go. I don't believe what people say either. I watch what they do. That's what I do. I watch what they do. Not gonna trick me. And if you do it a few times, it ain't gonna happen too many times after that.
I think that a lot of times people are peer pressured, especially today in the black community, to vote against their own best interest because it's not popular to do and you can't be a part of the cool kids club. And so even with you,
said the cool kids club.
I don't like the fact that you apologize for some of the things that you said because you were absolutely right, especially and particularly against how Jasmine Crockett was representing herself. But because the woke mob decided that they wanted to make you the punching bag and to come after you, and they still don't support you and didn't accept your apology. But in particular, and I'm saying it's not you, the Don Lemons, the Joy Reids, all of these people They don't respect you unless you align with what they believe. And so even when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, they don't believe in diversity unless it's aligned with what they believe, which goes against. It's an oxymoron, right? It's hypocritical. And so even when you have an opinion, they don't believe in Black Republicans. Mm-hmm. They only believe if you believe in them and diversity as it aligns with their agenda. Mm. That doesn't make sense. How can you want to have voices in every part of government, or voices that's different from yours, or representation, but you don't want representation when it doesn't agree with you?
Well, because they're not pro-Black, right? They're only pro-Democrat, right? I mean, it only makes sense when you understand what it really is. It's about being pro-progressive, pro-socialist, pro-communist, pro-Democrat, right? That's what it's really about. It ain't really about diversity, equity, inclusion, and all that stuff. They just use that as a means of pushing their Marxist far-left agenda, right? That's what it's really, really, really about, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like, I can disagree with you on a particular issue, but it doesn't mean that I remove your right to vote, or your humanity, or I can't agree with you on this other issue. But that's not what they do. They're not tolerant like they sell you.
We all know that when it comes to cancel culture, the Democrats are the ones that are guilty of that. It ain't the Republicans 100%. And the right trying to get people canceled. It's the progressive left. There's no doubt about that. We see that every single day. As it pertains, and I'm glad you brought that up, as it pertains to my apology to Jasmine Crockett, what happened was Trump came out thereafter, because I backed it up and I stayed on my position, or not just the first time, but the second time. But then Trump came and used that as an excuse to start questioning our IQ and the intelligence of this Black woman. And I didn't want to be a part of that.
Nah, Steve Day. That's bullshit. You're using Trump as an excuse for why you decided to walk back your comments against Jasmine Crockett, in which Stephen A. was right. I mean, we know he was right because Jasmine Crockett ended up losing her election, right? Her primary election. Why? Because of exactly what Stephen A. was criticizing her over, okay? And he used Trump attacking Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, Jasmine Crockett wild, though. Man, Jasmine Crockett crazy. I didn't even, That's crazy. Jasmine Crockett was wild. When I first saw Jasmine Crockett, it was years ago. I didn't even really know it was okay to speak like that in a profession that she's in, but I ain't touching on it. It's none of my business. I try to stay out of shit like that, but yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ. I would like to think if in a position that she's in that she would have had more decorum, show more professionalism, I guess. I don't know. But you know what? I'm not even gonna get on that. But yeah, they right about that. I was shocked with her too. This girl would talk like she was like off the street or something. Jasmine Crockett talked like she was off the street, like she was just no home training, and I was like, she must be doing this on purpose, because clearly, I mean, you don't get to where you are being stupid. So I'm guessing she's acting doing. I don't know what it was. I don't really care. Let's move on with the video. But yeah, I thought her speech was strange. I thought Jasmine Crockett, the way she conveyed her messages, I thought it was a bit strange for someone in her position. I don't know, in my opinion.
I guess the excuse to apologize, right? To walk back the comments. Like, this is BS. And this is what I don't like about straight shooter Stephen A. When it comes to the pro-blacks, he ain't a straight shooter, right? He's not. Just be real. You let them punk you. They punked you. And this is why I would tell Stephen A. If I had an opportunity to do a conversation like this, I think they punked you. I think that Roland Martin gets in your ear. I think all the pro-blacks get in your ear and they say, look, Stephen A., you have a responsibility as a black man who has a platform to represent black people the way that we want black people to be represented, a.k.a. the way that Democrats want, right? Whatever the Democrat Party wants, okay? And if Stephen A. is not towing the line, right, of the Democrat Party, then again, the blacks, their responsibility is to whip them into shape, right? To get them right. They do that every single time, okay? And Stephen A. knows this. And his refusal to acknowledge the influence that the pro-blacks have over him is weird to me, because I've seen this happen time and time and time again. It doesn't matter what the topic is, right? Doesn't matter what it is. I saw him do this with Kaepernick. He was right about Kaepernick. These pro-blacks, they got in Stephen A.'s ass because of his truthful comments about how Kaepernick was not really trying to get back in the NFL. They stripped his black card. Terrell Owens went on national television and said Max Kellerman is blacker than Stephen A. Right? They disrespected this man in the worst way possible. So I know that he values his invitation to the cookout, right? He values that black card. So that's why he'll only go so far, right? He can always say, well, I voted for the system. I voted for Kamala Harris, right? He'll talk a big game, but when it comes to his actual vote, if this man had actually said, look, I voted for Trump, right? I don't know if he have a job at First Take. I don't think so. I really don't. So again, he knows there's only so far he can go. He knows that leash, right, only goes so far. And he's only willing to go so far with the stuff that he says. He talks a big game, but this is why he always voted Democrat. This is why he voted for Kamala Harris. And he'll make excuses, like crazy excuses, about why he can't vote Republican. Because he knows he's not allowed to go that far. And I tell him straight up. I'm like, this is what I believe. And I'm sure that I'm right.
Why I apologize for it. You can agree or disagree with it.
You can't apologize for something that you didn't do wrong, Stephen A.
Well, again, but if I felt like I contributed to something that happened wrong to her, that was my only issue.
Trump was not wrong. You were not wrong. You're just using Trump as your excuse to apologize. That's what you're doing.
But it didn't take away from what I was saying. Yo, acting like that ain't gonna...
Yeah, because he didn't really say nothing wrong about Jasmine Crockett. He just said what we all were thinking. We was like, why is she talking like this? I mean, especially with the position that she had. I mean, we just didn't understand why she was talking the way that she was talking. I was like, and I listen, I find sometimes I think I'm overthinking stuff. Everybody felt the same way too. I didn't understand a woman in her position why she was talking the way that she was talking. I ain't really care. I didn't focus on that. But when I did hear it, I was just like, this is strange. But anyway, let's move forward.
Cut it. Yo, that's not going to win the election for you. That's not going to win the Senate seat. That's not going to make you have more power, more influence in the House of Representatives.
That's not who you
and
are.
Sure enough,
that's not who you are when you talk about sports. When you talk about sports, you say what you say, and it is what it is.
Yeah, but the point is I have the facts to back it up, not just my opinions.
Bro, what are you talking about? I mean, what you said about Jasmine Crockett was right. It was correct. And it was proven to be correct when she lost her election. So, again, what Anton Daniels is bringing up here, what he's saying is that, look, you're not like that on the sports show, right? Because on the sports show, you know that the pro-blacks aren't going to cancel you, okay?
And blacks do bully blacks, man. Like, I mean, you know, it does happen. It happens. Like you walk out here and you say that you have this political view, you might get castigated or reprimanded by the whole damn team. You know, so I definitely understand them with that. You know, that's why a lot of people say that they're independent, because they don't really want to go back and forth or have an argument with somebody. You know, you share your political views with somebody, they try to get you fired. Got weird people on planet Earth, man. God bless them.
The wrong opinion on sports. But when you have the wrong opinion in politics, there's a different level of consequences, right? And that's what Anton is pointing out here, that, hey, you don't do all this hesitating and, you know, all of this, you know, disclaiming and all the stuff that he does in politics when it comes to sports. And it's not because you don't know what you're talking about in politics. If you don't know what you're talking about, then why are you talking about politics, right? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. It's not because of that. It's because he knows there are different consequences, right?
Well, let me stop him right there. First of all, brother, none of us know all of it is about politics. The whole point is to engage in conversations. But I just thought I'd throw that out there, because I'm sure that you don't know everything about politics either, sir. But yet you're on here talking about it. But no worries. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
The level of consequence for getting a sports take wrong is not as great as having the wrong opinion in politics.
when the Detroit Pistons lose to the New York Knicks, so when they lose to the New York Knicks, Anton, right? Okay, I can speak definitively as to why, because the outcome is the outcome. There's nothing subjective about it. So that a lot of, and I get what you said, and I appreciate your comment about that, because a lot of people have looked at me, and even when they've supported me, they've been critical of me from the standpoint, yo, he's talking, but it ain't the same Stephen A with sports. And I'm like, yo, I got facts to back me up. In politics, this is my perspective. And somebody comes up with something else, I'm listening to you right now. I'm going like this. Well, I did feel this way, but damn, he did make a damn good point here, and he did make a damn good point there. I got to listen. I got to think about that. Because that's how it is.
If they would have listened to you, she would have won.
She would have won. She'd have won.
We align with that, right? But instead, we're more focused on how we feel instead of the results, which leads back to your original question about having a conversation with your sisters. My goal is to get the best results. And ultimately, sometimes I can't even be the nice person to you because I have to be the best person for you, right?
Okay.
I kind of look at it, especially when it comes to women, because there are women that I still protect in my family and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I can't be, like I have a...
Well, so I definitely agree with the Jasmine Crockett's situation. That was evident. I think we all was trying to figure out what was going on with Jasmine Crockett. I mean, I don't know. It was just, it seemed like it was a performance. Very weird speech from a woman of her caliber. I don't know why she was talking like that or would talk like that, but actually I do know why, but I'll keep my opinions to myself on this topic. But yeah, this was a good debate though. This was a real good debate. It wasn't really a debate. I would look at this was, just to soften the words up. People like to call it conversations. But yeah, it was respectful. Both people got their points across. Stephen A. Smith did a real good job on this too, because Anton Daniel was drilling him, caught him out there a few times, but he was noble. He didn't try to push too hard or make a fool out of himself when he didn't know something. He didn't know something when he stood corrected. He danced around a few questions, but nothing serious. Very good conversation. Yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna close this out. Yes. Fight night.